Hello there, and welcome back to Wolfen aboard the HMS Vanguard in her 1946 configuration. And she is quite the surprise of this patch because she's actually really good, and she has the lowest battle rating of 8.0 of any of the new battleships. She is in the British tech tree at rank 7, and she comes after the HMS Warspite herself in the very most left lane of the tech tree. And she is quite the mix of technology. She is, technically speaking, in her post-war configuration. She has some really nice modern dual-purpose and actually effective 5.25 inch -50 QF Mark 1s. She has lots and lots of 40mm quick firings in different mountings, from single mounts to hexagonal mounts. No, not hexagonal. Hectuple mounts, and also a twin mount. So the thing is that she also has some sort of all or nothing armor scheme, where a little bit of distributed armor scheme is a bit mixed in, but to no great effect. However, her armor is effective and thick, but cannot really play with the big boys, but that's kind of understandable. And yet she was put into service with the same guns that you can find on the HMS Glorious from 1919, the HMS Renown from 1944, HMS Warspite herself, HMS Hood, you know, and those are the 15-inch -42 BL Mark 1 cannons. You have 8 of them in 4 twin turrets, and 2 firing forward, 2 firing aft. The firing angles are alright. The only excruciating thing is that you have really slow turret rotation speed of 2 degrees per second. Now, the thumbnail kind of gives it away: supercharged, and it's not so much about the speed, although she can go at a respectable 58 kilometers per hour. That's a touch faster than the HMS Hood, and the thing is, she was given a new shell and really big propellant charges, and therefore she basically gets 1 new ammunition, and that puts the firepower technically for a broadside above the Bismarck and her 15-inch guns. So that is quite something. So let's just go bit by bit through the ship. Let's start with the armor, and we have an homogeneous belt from the front magazine all the way to the rear magazine of 355.6 millimeters, and that's quite a big belt. Although in the middle there is a small section where the machinery is, where it's 330 millimeters thick, but it doesn't matter all that much. And the narrowing of the belt to the bow isn't that excessive, so you don't have this always hittable front part as much as, for example, US standards. Now, 355 millimeters, it's not bad, but when you play with the big boys in an up tier, you shouldn't rely on it. And this is where we come to a little bit of a strange anomaly, I'd say, and this is the bulkhead, because you have, technically speaking, a bulkhead that goes thinner and thinner the more you go to the inside of the ship, from 12 inches or 305 millimeters to 11 inches or 279 millimeters to the middle part just in front of the barbette of the front turret of 10 inches or 254 millimeters. There is an actual icebreaker of 63 millimeters, but since the deck plating on that one is missing, you can see various different bulkheads of only an inch thick, but the deck plating is missing, so the shells can still plunge without any sort of resistance directly over this into the front bulkhead. So be careful with angling. The barbettes on the sides are 330 millimeters thick. The front of the barbettes and parts of the rear are 12 inches or 305 millimeters thick, and the turret faces, rather flat but a bit angled at 21 degrees, are 330 millimeters thick. So you will get penned. Now there is a bit of a redeeming factor that you have a relatively good deck plating of 6 inches or 152 millimeters above the magazines, and above the machinery it is 127 millimeters or 5 inches thick. So overall this seems like a reasonable World War II design, and she's not over the top as some other ships in terms of sheer armor thickness or array. She doesn't have quite the tankiness, especially at shorter ranges like the Bismarck, but that's kind of understandable with this really effective turtleback design. But surprisingly enough, I didn't really get penetrated all that often in terms of the machinery. Now, the survivability gets further enhanced by the fact that your magazines, including the shell room, are buried below the waterline and really not that easy to hit, only with very steep plunging fire and just in a very narrow strip, which factually has never happened to me. The same goes for the secondary battery, although there is some ready rack ammunition that could be hit, but it's relatively small. Now finally let's talk about the ammunition, and for the 381mm we have as a base shell or a stock shell the 15-inch 4CRH CPC, which is an SAP CBC round with a relatively low mass velocity of 752 meters per second, but still a kind of respectable bursting charge of 61.7 kilograms with a fuse delay of 0.025 seconds. The penetration at 10 kilometers isn't really that great, of 152 millimeters. That is surprisingly low for what usually the British could field, and you will not necessarily always deal with enemy cruisers like this. If you penetrate them, they're in a wall of pain, but they always should be when getting shot by a 15-inch gun battleship. And as a tier 1 upgrade, you then get the 381mm Mark 17B APC that also was issued to some other British battleships in this patch. 749 meters per second mass velocity, nearly 21 kilograms of bursting charge, TNT equivalent, and you have also a fuse delay of 0.025 seconds. This could be problematic, but when I used this kind of shell, it didn't always feel that problematic. And the penetration at 1000 meters is 655 millimeters, at 10 kilometers 475 millimeters, and at 15 kilometers 407 millimeters. That is not so good, and I mentioned that this, or let's mention it here, the ship effectively has more broadside firepower than the Bismarck, and that comes courtesy of the tier 2 upgrade, the 381mm Mark 22B SC APC, with the SC standing for Supercharged or Supercharges, I'm not quite sure. It's an APCBC round, and the mass velocity goes up to 805 meters per second. The rest of the stats stay the same, also nearly 21 kilograms of TNT equivalent bursting charge, and also 0.025 second fuse delay. And now the penetration goes up at 10 kilometers to 532, whereas the Bismarck has 517. It's not the greatest difference, but it is there. And remember, the Bismarck has battle rating 8.3. The Bismarck earns this with both the effectiveness of the turtleback when it comes to armor protection and survivability, but also with the better gun handling with much faster turret rotation speed on the HMS Vanguard. It is as low as 2 degrees per second, and also you have a 30-second reload, which results in a lower DPM than the Bismarck. So yeah, that is basically the HMS Vanguard, and those superchargers at 8.0 when you're in a down tier, they are really hard hitting, just like the Bismarck does. The Bismarck just hits more often. On the other hand, I feel like the dispersion is actually not that bad. And the ship is fast enough so you can go to places, you're not excruciatingly slow, and that also helps you to maneuver with this rather long, sleek hull. I say it's sleek, but the turrets actually look really small compared to the hull, versus when you look at the Bismarck, the turrets are looking relatively big. Same goes with the Roma and the Ava and the Yamato. So the guns feel a little bit underwhelming in terms of raw size, not so much in performance. And this is why I think that the HMS Vanguard has kind of a little bit surprised me, despite the 30-second reload, despite those World War I guns. It hits hard, even at range, and it knocks out the enemy. The armor can actually help you survive for quite a while. I've never exploded. However, I've drowned due to accumulating damages and then actually a lot of black or destroyed sections, which is a mechanic I still don't like. But here we are. So, yeah, in a nutshell, this ship is good. It does the job, it's reliable, although I have to say that for this patch, I would have liked to see King George V classes in the game, and they would be a bit more appropriate. I expect those 14-inch guns to have a bit better performance, definitely better DPM because of 10 guns, really nice design, and with Prince of Wales and King George V herself and so forth, you also have big names. Because Vanguard never fought in World War II, she doesn't have as much of a big name or a big story. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, so at the end of the video, I only can add two more things. First of all, as you have noticed, I have slowed down a little bit the frequency of video releases. And that is because I have to pre-record videos and first impressions videos, as this one is, because I plan to go on a 2-week holiday, and I just plan to release the videos and then write a little bit in the comment section, to which I'll invite you guys as usual. And second of all, I still have the active vote on my Discord, to which you will find the link in the video description down below, and you have to accept the rules, and then you have full access to the server, and where I still plan to get my decal into War Thunder, so I have to get access to the content partnership program, and for this I need a lot of views. That means a lot of subscribers, a lot of likes, a lot of activity, so that the algorithm recommends my video on YouTube, because algorithm doing algorithm things. And yeah, again, please like this video, please hit the bell, please subscribe, share it with your friends, your clanmates, and whoever else you can annoy with links. And so far, again, thank you guys for your support. Thank you for your participation so far. It really makes a difference, and it really motivates me to continue featuring all those ships. And honestly, for the first time in quite a while, I have some sort of, dare I say, fun. Yeah, and with this really positive note, not just on HMS Vanguard herself, I end the video with the usual thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder. them. Leave a comment, and as usual, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.